Positively Kansas is brought to you in part by Lucia Sarto, premier clothing designer of Kansas City, bringing you this week's My American Dream segment.
The following program is brought to you by TZ Productions, celebrating KPTS's nearly 50 years of community support in South Central Kansas. Great starts here on KPTS.
Brought to you by Central Security Group, your experts in home automation, security, and peace of mind. View video on your smartphone and control your home's lights, locks, heating, cooling, and more. Security app compatible with Apple Watch and Amazon Echo.
Program support provided by the F. Price Kosman Memorial Trust, Entrust Bank trustee, bringing you the Kansas Wild Edge segments on Positively Kansas.
It's time for Positively Kansas. Coming up, this Wichita man is in Tokyo, Japan, searching for his long-lost family. Discover how his adventure began and the lengths in which he's gone to embark on a once-in-a-lifetime investigation. Also, meet this 6-year-old Kansas girl who knows how to take care of business. She's showing the boys what's what, and now reigns as the national wrestling champion. You got to see this. Also, these farmers are outstanding in their field, and that field is smack dab in the middle of the city. They may be on the cusp of a burgeoning trend that rewrites the business of Kansas agriculture. Plus, see why Kansas kids in the great outdoors go hand in hand in our Wild Edge Report. I'm Sierra Scott. Those stories and more are on the way. Positively Kansas starts right now. He's on a journey across the globe to rediscover his roots, to discover the fate of his long-lost family, and hopefully restore the relationship. His name is Gary Kennard, and as we speak, he's 6,000 miles away on the trip of a lifetime that's been many years in the making. He's just hoping it's not too late. Correspondent John Wright has the story.
Family ties were lost over the decades, but Gary Kennard is on a noble quest to find his roots in the land of the rising sun.
I'm kind of doing this for my mother, just to remember her and let her family know that, you know, we love my mom and I love my family.
63-year-old Gary is searching for an aunt and other relatives in Japan. His parents met in Tokyo while his father was in the Air Force in the 1950s. Gary spent part of his childhood living there before the family moved to Wichita. When his mom passed away in 1992, he, his dad, and brothers lost touch with the relatives in Japan because she was the only one in the family who could speak Japanese.
Now, it's going to be a hard task, but I brought my birth certificate and my mother's, her last name is Koyanagi. And she's on my birth certificate because I was born here at an Air Force base called Tachikawa Air Force Base. And with those credentials, I should be able to go to the city hall in Yokohama, Japan, and ask the city officials could they assist me in locating my lost family.
Gary began his task by going back to school so he could learn to speak and write Japanese. He started at Wichita State and has transferred to a university in Tokyo for a few months to refine his skills and conduct his search.
Even though I've already graduated from Wichita State in 1983, and I have an engineering degree, and I've already worked for 25 years, so now I am trying to go back to school to learn how to speak Japanese. Learn how to speak Japanese so I can kind of talk a little Japanese just in case I find my family.
So far, Gary says the people have been kind.
The people here are so respectful, John. I mean, everywhere you go, it's thank you. Welcome to our store. Please come back again. Thank you very much. And they give you a bow. It's just so respectful.
Gary has until August to locate his family in Japan before his study program ends along with financial aid.
I'm very hopeful, and I think I will be successful. Now, if I don't find them at this time, like I said, I'm not going to give up. The Olympics are going to be in Tokyo in 2020, and I hope to return.
After connecting with his long-lost family, he hopes to bring one or more of them to Wichita to meet his elderly dad and brothers. And Gary hopes his quest serves as an example for others who've lost touch with family.
I hope people understand if they have family out there, it's never too late to look for family members, you know. They still love you, and I hope they still love me.
For Positively Kansas, I'm John Wright.
We're going to stay in contact with Gary and update you on his mission as developments warrant. Agriculture is Kansas's #1 industry, and now a new breed of farmer joined the ranks. They have some different methods, different crops, and have discovered that city life and farm life can be the same thing.
Basically, we're a small urban farm trying to take what was once a vacant urban lot and turn it into something beautiful.
Adam and Maggie Pounds, along with little son Arlo, farm an acre of land in South Hutchinson. They call it Simple Abundance Farm. The Pounds grow turnips, radishes, beets, and a lot of different greens. It's all organic. And with the help of some part-time jobs, the Pounds say they're able to make a living with this tiny urban farm.
We started out farming in Seattle. We apprenticed on a farm out there and learned the ropes about organic farming and the business behind it. But the idea was we wanted to come back to Kansas, where we're from. Both Maggie and I are from here. We wanted to raise our son Arlo and also to give something back to Kansas.
The Pounds say urban farms like theirs provide a variety of safe, accessible, environmentally friendly food. And it makes use of that land that otherwise isn't serving much of a purpose. Their farm is on a long abandoned vacant lot, and there are a lot of small empty spaces like this in Hutchinson and the Wichita areas.
We're in Hutchinson, and South Hutchinson is kind of a multi-location farm. We say there's enough space in Hutch and South Hutch in order to feed the city of Hutchinson and South Hutchinson with vegetables, just empty land that's growing grass, and that's grass that then has to be mowed, has to be watered.
The Pounds say urban farms can face some challenges with local zoning ordinances and other city regulations, but they say that local officials are finally starting to catch on in Kansas. The Pounds say the city of South Hutchinson has been very accommodating. And meanwhile, officials in Lawrence recently revamped a number of ordinances to make urban farming easier there, too. Now let's meet a young Kansan who's breaking the gender barrier at the tender age of 6. All the boys better take notice. Anthony Powell has the story.
When you watch 6-year-old Presley Beard dominate opponents, including many boys, it's kind of hard to believe that her mom never really considered Presley to be athletic. That is, until Presley began wrestling at the ripe old age of 5. It's something that happened by chance. A friend of the family was getting ready for a tournament, so Presley's mom, Tristan Macy, asked her kids if they wanted to try the sport. Presley jumped at the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm in. And I was like, really? And I was like, you'll do it? She said, yeah.
The rest, as they say, is history. After briefly practicing at home and getting involved with a wrestling club, Macy could see her suddenly competitive daughter was ready for some stiffer competition, even if it meant wrestling boys. Was her mom worried about that?
Oh, no. There's no need for no.
Evidently, neither was Presley. In the year or so since she's been wrestling, Presley's taken down lots of boys and girls and has won state and national tournaments. So what's this little dynamo's secret? Nothing fancy.
She's got a will to work hard like a kid I've never seen before.
That work ethic, says her mom, helps Presley get through the kind of fierce challenges wrestling throws at her.
But she doesn't cry and set out. She cries and holds her stomach and runs. And she cries and does everything with, and keeps wrestling, keeps practicing.
Macy says her daughter has learned her skills and toughness from being part of Wichita's Hard Knocks Wrestling Club.
So I have basically
It's run by well-known coach Charles Knox, who was impressed from day one with Presley's desire.
She's a hard worker and she's a good listener and she responds really well to what we're teaching.
As we found out, Presley is a girl of very few words. She lets her actions on the mat do the talking. But she sure spoke up when we asked about her ultimate goal.
I want to go to the Olympics.
All right. And you're going to keep working hard to get there, right?
Yeah.
Knowing she's shy, Coach Knox has Presley lead cheers so she can become as confident with her voice as she is on the mat.
Thunder, lightning, hell, and sea. Team on that cannot be beat. Ah, boom, shakalaka on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thunder, lightning, hell, and sea. Team on that cannot be beat.
Presley is joined by many other kids who, like her, benefit greatly by being part of the Hard Knocks Club. Wrestling provides a perfect metaphor for life. No matter if you get knocked down, you have to get back up. Drusella Johnson says the sport has helped with self-esteem.
It makes me feel stronger, that I'm able to do things that other people can't.
As you might imagine, Drew says she's had people tell her that girls can't wrestle.
I tell them to watch my matches.
Your actions speak louder than words, right?
For many kids in the club, wrestling is not just something they do because they're passionate about the sport. You see, they come from homes where money is pretty tight, so wrestling provides a great distraction to what might be going on at home. It also provides inspiration for these kids to achieve great things in their life.
Thanks to Coach Knox, they already are. To help raise money for the club and to learn about life, the coach and his kids clean up neighborhoods. Knox sees himself as a life coach as much as he does a wrestling coach.
Not only just winning on the wrestling match, but we want them to win in the classroom and then come back to the community later and be winners in the community.
He wants to get these kids a scholarship. He's trying to show them the way to a scholarship that hopefully, catapults them into a profession, and he just wants to show them a right way to do things.
With that kind of support and guidance, it would seem the sky's the limit for Presley and other Hard Knocks Club members, both on the mat and in life. For Positively Kansas, I'm Anthony Powell.
You go, girl power. Now to some athletes on the other end of the age spectrum. The nursing home in Mound Ridge has a team that's scoring big on the virtual bowling circuit. Correspondent Jeff Goodman dropped in on a team practice and filed this report.
You all set?
Set. I'm ready, I guess.
Senior Weed bowling champ Merle Schmidt is hard at work with one goal in mind: for his team to take top honors at the Spring National Senior Bowling Tournament.
There is right at 300 teams playing across the nation and Canada too. And we have some pretty stiff competition.
A lot of teams, and I think we're the only ones from Kansas in the league.
I've bowled all my life, but this is altogether different than bowling in a bowling alley.
The National Senior League was started in 2009 to organize video game bowling tourneys in retirement communities all over the U.S. Fusing technology with a sport well known to most Kansans, it gives seniors at Pine Village the opportunity to compete with other teams across the country without ever leaving their residence. All they need is an Xbox, a TV, and the internet.
I think we're in the top 300 conference, the 33, the top one.
Each team consists of 4 players. Every week on a specified day, the team bowls and then tallies up their scores. The scores are then submitted to the NSL website and are tallied and posted to show the team's standing in the tournament. This is Merle's 3rd tournament as coach for the Pine Village Strikers. In 2015, he and his team clinched 1st place.
We seen that we was getting closer all the time, and then it just turned out that everybody had a good streak, a winning streak there, and we just topped them out.
Merle bowled over 627 strikes in a row during that tournament, nabbing him the league's best bowler trophy for his 2nd year in a row.
It's kind of like winning anything, you enjoy it. It's something to strive for, and we put forth a lot of effort.
Merle, a machinist by trade, says he takes the same approach to weed bowling as he does to milling and creating uniquely handcrafted pins. A hobby he says he picked up after he retired.
I kept thinking there had to be a way to get what you would call perfect, and I finally found that way.
You have to start on the alley, on the wee alley, the same spot every time, and that takes a little concentration to get you to where you want to be.
They might not stand up doing weed, but you still have to have your coordination. And
for Merle and his crew, the secret to success is simple. You practice a lot.
You just go out there and practice and practice and practice.
We practice every day. It is a lot of satisfaction, and it's a feeling of accomplishment when you do win.
But winning isn't everything. Amongst the team, there's a kindred sense of belonging to something bigger than themselves.
It's good socially, you have your little team spirit. They egg each other on. They practice every day.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, most of the time. Once in a while, it's frustrating.
You encourage each other, and you enjoy the time we have together. It's good.
For Positively Kansas, I'm Jeff Goodvin.
As it turned out, the Pine Village Strikers didn't make the playoffs this spring, but they'll give it another go in the fall when the next season starts. Well, the Kansas Outdoors is a place of discovery and refreshment for people of all ages. In this week's Kansas Wild Edge report, Mike Blair shows us how fun and exciting it is to introduce children to the marvels of nature.
Richard Louv calls it nature deficit disorder, the disconnect of children in modern generations from the vast natural world around us. His book, Last Child in the Woods, explains how curiosity and stimulation of developing children is hindered without connection to real, touchable, and breathable outdoors experiences. His thesis asserts that even the best of modern instruction about our world can never replace the act of turning over a rock, catching a fish, or climbing a tree. Only such real connections can consummate imagination and transfer into children the true energies of life. He's right, and it takes but a few hours to watch a child's mind expand in the outdoors. I grew up in the fields and woodlands, and those experiences are lifelong treasures. And they are renewed, even in my 6th decade, as I teach my grandson simple things that many now regard as lore and secrets. I'll not attempt to rewrite Louv's book. Instead, let the cameras show what happens when children are allowed to sample life through direct contact without fear of getting wet or dirty. See the joy and curiosity written on their faces as they partake in real adventures. Yes, where hot and cold and bugs and spiders and birds and poison ivy and snakes and all the rest have their places, and the children learn that they can live and share in it. Some oversight, of course, is important as they learn. But so is unimpeded space, where the process of self-discovery builds confidence and thinking skills. The outdoors is a place where all senses can come into play, and where instincts can finally be honed to the point of provision. Cycles of life and death are tangible here, lending perspective for a gated push-button world. Thoreau and others grew from the peace and solitude found outdoors. And so do our children now, those lucky enough to experience such things in their formative years. Connection with nature is truly important.
I got him. I like butterflies.
Take them out while the wonder is still in their minds. Provide the freedom that must be tasted to be understood. The window of opportunity closes faster than many might wish. Learn for yourself if necessary, and show your little ones the path to nature's education. Do your part to ensure that America never sees its last child in the woods. I'm Mike Blair for Positively Kansas.
How cute. Next week, Mike shows us why Kansas is the best state in the nation for watching prairie chickens and their fascinating mating rituals. Now let's go to Macy Johnson with this week's edition of My American Dream.
Welcome back to My American Dream. I'm your host, Macy Nicole Johnson. I am joined with Paul Stewart today. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
I really want to get to know a little bit about your childhood. I want to get to know what it was like growing up, some of the challenges that you faced.
My dad was a painter, my mom was a waitress, so they did the best they could. But
wow.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of that sibling raising. My oldest brother and my older sister had a lot to do with, you know, getting us up and ready for bed and going to get breakfast and such. So.
Okay, so let's talk about, because you are the founder of a company, can you talk a little bit about that and just how that even started? What started the motivation to get where you are today?
I had an opportunity to go out on my own. The company I was working for was getting ready to get bought out for like the third or fourth time. I was a carpet layer, and I thought that I could start the company and do it better than the people I was working for at the time. And certainly I was worried about the new purchase. And so me and a gentleman went out, took our tax returns, bought a fax machine and some insurance and a $1,500 van, and started the company. At the time it was called Stewart & Gosselin Contract Flooring. And then in 2003 I bought him out and started Stewart & Associates Commercial Flooring. So we've been in business since 2003.
Wow.
So yeah.
So I mean, was that scary, just taking that risk, being young, and just kind of going for it?
A little bit.
A lot of people are scared to do that.
Sure. It was scary, but it was also kind of invigorating. I've started several companies since, and there's always this new, you know, when you do something new and different. And we did, when we started the company, we did things a little different than what any of our competition was doing. Certainly different than the company that I had worked for at the time.
So what would you tell someone who's young, probably has the same story as you, and they kind of want to take that leap of faith, and they're like, maybe not?
The key is to have a goal, to have something to strive at. envisioning what your future could be like as opposed to the way it is right now. So that's usually what will drive somebody to make that first step.
Right. So now that we've gotten to this point,
Yeah.
what would you define as your American dream?
Well, I'm kind of living it. I mean, I really do love
good.
opportunity. I mean, really, for me, living the American dream is not just providing for myself and my family. It's also being able to help other people and having the resources to do so and seeing other people's dreams come alive. I've been fortunate enough to be involved with other business ventures and watch other entrepreneurs kind of get going, and it's always exciting to see that. And so that to me is truly the American dream.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
We will see you all again next week.
Thank you, Macy, and thank you for watching the show this week. If you have a story idea, please drop us a line at positivelykansas@kpts.org. We love hearing from you. I'm Sierra Scott. Be sure to join us for the next Positively Kansas. See you then.
Program support provided by the F. Price Kosman Memorial Trust, Entrust Bank trustee, bringing you the Kansas Wild Edge segments on Positively Kansas.
Brought to you by Central Security Group, your experts in home automation, security, and peace of mind. View video on your smartphone and control your home's lights, locks, heating, cooling, and more. Security app compatible with Apple Watch and Amazon Echo.
The preceding program was brought to you by TZ Productions, supporting KPTS and the communities it serves in South Central Kansas. Great starts here on KPTS.
Positively Kansas is brought to you in part by Lucia Sarto, premier clothing designer of Kansas City, bringing you this week's My American Dream segment. Support also comes from viewers like you. Thank you. Call KPTS to receive a DVD copy of this program for a $40 donation. You can also send a check or money order along with the program name, date, and time to the address on your screen. And you will receive a 1-year KPTS membership.